This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak more profitably. Consulting and revenue. Two words that too often don't go together, and we're here to reconnect them with my friend Dan Cashell.
David, it's awesome to be here, man. Thank you.
So you work with a lot of business owners, professional services firms, consultants, experts, when they're not making the revenue that they should. Let's just do sort of a problem survey out there in consulting and professional services land. What are some missing, funky, broken, misunderstood ways that consulting firms should be thinking about their revenue, but they're not?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Well, number one,
we could spend 3 hours talking just about that.
That could be a 5-day event, quite frankly, to package that all together. I mean,
give us your greatest hits. Give us some of your favorites that you personally love to fix with you and your team.
Well, number one, David, is simply having a daily flow or a steady flow daily of clients. Like, there's no reason that if you're a consultant or an expert or an advisor or whatever the hybrid is today, a results leader, thought leader, any number of words pop in, is that you can't have a steady flow of clients every single day that are pre-qualified, pre-motivated, predisposed, and ready to do business with you. And the biggest mistake we see, oftentimes is a disconnected marketing system with a disconnected sales system. And they're two unique, machines, if you will. But when you get them right and bring them together, right, well, magic happens. Like one of our private clients, Joe Polish, Joe is one of the best marketers in the world, smartest marketers in the world. And then he had brought, me and us in to help him grow. And, he was already successful. He was already, a profitable business. He already had a very steady flow of revenue and profitability, right? But we went in, like we do a lot of times, and we found unleveraged assets, between blogs and between podcasts and between not really adapting paid traffic strategies in a smart way to make it work better. And then the sales side of it was a little bit disconnected, and we brought these things together. And, within a short period of time, he went from like 39 candidates a year for his premium level program to 100 a month, right? And his company got hockey stick growth and profitability and a whole lot more. And then it gave him the ability to really be free, David, to focus on, some of his passion kind of ideas, like, being able to change the conversation around addiction and other things. And so it's a real blessing when we get a chance to help leaders impact their impact, like exponentially, right? So it's creating exponential impact. So that's one example, and that's pretty common.
So let's talk about this, because you mentioned, right there, you brought up 3 or 4 all interconnected ideas: organic traffic, underpotentialized assets, content marketing, paid traffic. Would you say, Dan, that for most folks watching, they need to get their organic game plan, marketing funnel, et cetera, they need to get that in order before turning on the tap of paid ads? And what, if that's the case, what are some things that we could be looking at with our organic lead generation that, it doesn't make sense to fill a bucket that is full of holes with paid ads? So do I have that right? Is it organic before paid? And then what are some things we can do to fix our organic game?
So there's a couple things that pop up. To me, it's not an either or an or, it's an and, right? And a step even before all of that is actually the messaging. Like we see so many times the messaging is just way, way off track, right? Or it's lacking luster, or it's too focused on me-itis instead of you, right? WITFM, what's in it for them? What's in it for you? So if you're, watching right now or you're listening right now, I encourage you, I'd go back to your message. And a great little, tactic, if you will, to kind of tune into your message is, answer a couple of the following. Do you know how? And then fill in the blank of your perfect client. Struggle with, fill in the blank of their biggest problems, right? So for example, ours, David, is, do you know how a lot of companies struggle to get a daily flow of clients? Boom, right? So number one, next time you're doing an elevator speech or the next time you're at a networking event and they say, what do you do? And you stand up and do your thing. Don't start it with fire hosing all the great benefits or any. Start it with a question. Do you know how a lot of people, name of your industry, struggle with or suffer from or whatever that would be, and then fill in the blank? You will get people to lean in from you. This little change, this little hinge, I got one right here on my desk. This little hinge is something that will swing a big door. It's the difference between compelling people to move forward towards you versus repelling them away. Oh, I've heard that 1,000 times. I've heard that before, right? And immediately that starts your message. Do you know how? Struggle with. And when they lean in, yes, now they're more likely to engage in what you do. Now focus your message on what do you solve for them? The problem, what problem do you solve for them, right? And if you can tune that in, right? For example, when someone asks us, we go, do you know how a lot of companies struggle to get clients daily? Yes. Well, what we do is we help you get clients daily by using something called direct response branding to help you get a steady flow of clients. Wow, how do you do that? That inevitably leads to that question, right? And then the next part of it is, well, how do you do that? Well, we are an outsourced CMO type service and CEO service to help you create exponential growth so you can have a bigger impact, reach, and contribution, right? So if you hone in or tune in your, problem-solving message to your end user, your potential perfect client, right? Think of your perfect client right now and like, what are the top 3 struggles that they've got? And what is it you do to help them solve those struggles and then package it up in a better message? You'll be amazed if not only you start sharing it verbally, but then also here's a big thing. The other thing we see, David, you spoke about organic and paid. Like, we'll go, hey, how's your message? And people go, oh, our message is like a 7. And then we'll go look at their website and nowhere on their site is their message on there, even close. So I would say start there. Then you can translate that over into your ads, to your copy, to organic and paid type models.
Tremendous. So that would be step one. And then once that message is in play, we should be using that everywhere. That should go onto your LinkedIn professional headline. That's on the website. That's what you blog about. That's what you live stream about. Everything is congruent with that overall value prop that informs everything that you do and everything that you say.
Yes. And in fact, we have this broken down into a 4-part process. So you've got your unique market, right? You've got your unique message. Then you've got your unique method of how you deliver your promise of your message. And then you've got your unique offer. So for example, just to kind of put it in perspective, it's our assessment looking at, one of the big results leaders out there that many of you will know as soon as I go through the whole process first, but I don't want to spoil the punchline. So there was a guy who looked at an industry, probably the most commoditized industry in the world at the time, and said, we're going to go and start a business in this industry. And he did. But he changed each of these 4 things as we perceive it in a few very distinct ways that I think we all can learn a lot from. So he looked at the industry and said, okay, coffee, right? Now, if he would have did what most people do, most people go, oh, everybody drinks coffee, so let me market to everybody. No, he went fitness enthusiasts who drink coffee. That was his initial narrow niche. Fitness enthusiasts who drink coffee. His unique message to that was get fit drinking coffee. Well, who knew you could get fit drinking coffee, right? That was also narrow. Then on top of that, he said, okay, what's the unique delivery or unique method of how we deliver this promise? It's something that had been around for hundreds of years, David, as you know, because I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about already. Add grass-fed butter to your coffee. Well, that process had been around for 100 years at least, right? But he named it and claimed it. And now he's sort of got credit for it as the leader who helped adapt it in today's time, right? So you can take old and turn it new, right? In your model, by the way, as you're watching or listening right now. So add grass-fed butter to the coffee. And then his unique offer was something called Bulletproof Coffee. His name is Dave Asprey. It's now transcended. It's a $100 million business a year. He's got Bulletproof 360, Bulletproof other things as well. But it started with these kind of distinctions. So what if, as you're listening or watching, you narrowed your market, got it very clear like Dave did. You went down and got your message, tuned in to solve the problems of your clients, as well as had a unique method. Dan Sullivan says, if you name the game, you own the game. So name it a method. One of our clients has the patient infusion method, right? He works with doctors in regenerative medicine and helps them get more patients every single day. Another one of our clients has the Tiger method, which is essentially a way to be able to connect the dots, get healthier, and be in peak performance, right? And others. There's plenty of examples. So unique method, and then what is your unique offer, right? The unique offer that the way you package it, they can't get anywhere else. Because here's another big lie, David, as you know, right? We've all heard, we've got to be better. We've got to be better. We've got to be better. Well, what if that way of thinking has cost you a bloody fortune? What if that way of thinking is costing you your next big breakthrough? What if instead of focusing on better, you just focused on how to be different, right? And I didn't make this up. A great lady named Sally Hogshead, who's brilliant, says it's better to be different than better. Now, I'll one up that just a tad by saying focus to do both. Focus on being unique and different, and focus on making it better all the time, improving it, adapting it, adding on to it, getting it to the next level and more. So there's a couple ideas, David, that pop out.
Hey, this interview is a real moneymaker. If you're serious about ramping up your reach and revenue as a speaker, trainer, or expert, book a confidential speaker strategy call with our team. The link is doitmarketing.com/call. It will be the most valuable 45 minutes you invest in your speaking-driven business. Speaking of value, let's get back to the show. So when we're looking at adding this layer of distinction to our professional services, and of course, services, unlike selling swimming pools, unlike selling coffee, we're selling these intangibles. So Dan, would you say that sort of naming and branding the services and even naming and branding the components of our services, like your assessment, like your process, like your method, it's even more important for service companies than for product companies, yes?
Absolutely, right? Like going back to the message, what is it that only you can say the way you say it that isn't available anywhere else? And if you can do that, which you can, if you just put a little bit of mindset onto it or focus onto it, and we have different programs where we spend a half a day or a day together with a client and we help them tune this and refine it and come up with what is that unique message, right? Similar with the unique method, naming the method, right? What is the method that they can't get anywhere else the way you deliver it? And also just say that, you can't get it anywhere else the way we deliver it. Now, truthfully, depending on your business, unless someone's a complete copycat or you're a complete copycat of another business, you should be able to say that with pride and confidence and certainty and clarity, right? And here's another one. There's a great quote, Oliver Wendell Holmes. He said, I wouldn't give a fig to be on the other side of complexity, but I'd give my life to be on this side of simplicity, right? Ideally, as you're hearing these examples or watching us describe these examples, notice how simple they are. The language is simple. The way we lay them out is simple, right? It's not 400 paragraphs or even 4. It's like little chunks of 6-8 word sentences. Simple works, simple pays.
So brilliant. Let me move to a little bit more of a mundane topic. And this is about generating revenue quickly. So one of the things that most people are hip with, but if they're not, I'm going to drop this on the table just as an example. It's what are you doing to get back in touch with clients who already know you, already love you, and have already paid you money? So it's a client reactivation strategy. Most people, hopefully, have thought about that. When a professional services firm or a consulting firm comes to you, Dan, what are 2 or 3 other sort of fast cash strategies or even just low-hanging fruit strategies that can bring in some revenue fairly quickly over the next couple of weeks to a couple of months?
Yeah, so just for sake of time, we have dozens of different mini strategies that we teach. Like one, a mutual friend of ours, Cloris Kiley, just emailed me today and said, thank you so much for this perfect invitation concept that you shared with me. I got 7 new clients this week as a result of it, right? In a week, by the way. So how cool is that, right? Even if it took you a month to get 7 new consulting clients or high value type clients, what would that be worth to you, right? I had another one of our clients recently that did this perfect invitation campaign that we share with our clients, which is simply, it's a reach out. We call it Operation Reach Out. So it's a reach out by email that essentially says something like, hey, we're putting together this special new program. Here are a couple criteria. Reply back and let me know yes, right? Something that simple and conversational. It's really to get them to raise their hand initially. And then if they raise their hand, yes, right, then you can put them through a little bit of extra filtering. Like, for example, after they say yes, you might say, great. You might even have a customer service person or a VA do something like this, or an executive assistant, depending on your level and what you do or how you do it. You'd be amazed. Like another client, we did this. They sent it out. They had a list of about, I think it was 1,400 on their list, right? They got 86 responses in about 72 hours, right? 86 that had said yes. So now you have a person, an assistant. Again, there are a few different ways to do this, but this is one simple way. They have the executive assistant respond back, say, hey, that's awesome. What business are you in? And what would you hope to gain by working together? So now you can get some idea of like their intention right off the bat. What are they looking to do, right? Then you might send them to an assessment. Like one of the things we love to do, because that which is, it's Pearson's law, that which is measured improves, that which is measured and reported improves exponentially. So we have this 127-point assessment that literally takes 2.5 to 3 minutes for somebody to fill out. It measures 127 data points. We have many clients who go through it and say, this assessment has transformed the way I think about my business. It's really, really cool. So build a simple assessment for your potential clients, right? So they can identify, like, what are they strong at? What are they weak at, right? Where do they need help? Many times that self-diagnosis will get them to go, hey, I want to work with you, right? If they fill out the assessment and it meets your criteria, then invite them to a phone call. Simply invite them to a phone call, right? Here's another big mistake we see so many people making, David, is they're so hooked on the idea of automation. They're so hooked on the idea of systematizing every single part of their business that they're automating themselves right out of business, right? You probably see this too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so if you're watching or listening, I want to encourage you, while everybody's trying to automate and systematize every part of their sales and marketing process, if you'll just get into communication and ask this one question more than your competition every day, you will win in the long run and short run. And I'd encourage you to find a way to get in communication with 5 to 10 people a day. And if you do this, you will make more money than you ever thought possible. And that one single question to get into conversation is to ask 5 to 10 people a day, what's the number one thing you need the most help or support with right now?
Personally, one-on-one, via email, via LinkedIn message, individually.
Ideally, individually. Most importantly and best is by phone in face-to-face situations. But you can do it in email. Like, for example, just today, I was in conversation with someone Brian Kurtz, who's become a good friend over the last 10 years. And I asked Brian, what's the number one thing you need the most help with? And I'll say what he mentioned. He goes, well, I don't need help, but I could use support with X, Y, and Z, right? And so now I know how to help him. And I let him know, hey, reach out to me when you're ready for the thing that you're focused on. I'm happy to help support you, right? As best as I can, right? And it doesn't always mean you do business with somebody directly now. But the direct benefits you get, probably 25% of the time, you'll have someone that will be an ideal fit for you. And then I look at it like being a matchmaker to help them solve their problems. You become a facilitator. Like in sports, great quarterbacks are facilitators of the ball, right? To someone else. Great point guards on basketball teams are playmakers and get the ball to the people who can score. So you gather this information and then you become a facilitator to help them solve their problems. And soon you'll be looked at like one of the most resourceful people around, and they'll look to you when and if they need business in the future, and even short term too. So,
right.
Let me go back and just unpack that because I kind of bounced around my ADD.
No, that's great. Go ahead.
So step one is send out that perfect invitation, casual invite to your potential perfect clients.
Now, how much info is in that perfect invitation? So like it would be an outcome of some kind. Hey, I'm putting together a new program and
to
it's
help
for
you
folks
get X,
who want
Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z.
Back to your perfect message to solve your problems around, boom, right? Here are a couple criteria. Respond back if you're interested, right? Now they respond back, yes. Awesome, congratulations. What business are you in and what would you hope to gain by working together? Then send them to an assessment. If the assessment meets your criteria, then look to book a call with them, right? Real simple. And then get into the conversation. Here's another area we see where people miss out on opportunity, David. I'm sure you see this too, doing what you do, is now once you get into the phone conversation, there's usually like a couple schools of thought. I got to do a complete coaching session for somebody, a consulting session. or I got to sell the heck out of them, right? It's an either or. And I would encourage you to become more of an and thinker, an and doer. Behave as an and person. It's not either. It's not paid traffic or organic. It's both. There's just smarter ways to do it and leverage it properly. So we have a 12-step. In fact, as part of this session, I agreed to David that I want to give you our script, our outline that, we built a big coaching business and consulting business. It grew to 25 million a year before we exited and before we sold it. And this script outline that we built, 12 steps, is the exact script we had our team using that turned customer service people into high achievers. And it's not about selling, it's about interviewing. And most people, if it's done right, will walk out of the session feeling like it was a coaching session when it was designed to help, understand their issues, their problems. And if and only if there's a good opportunity, then you move to enroll them. And, if you're an introvert like me, believe it or not, as you're watching right now, you might go, no way. If you knew me in high school, my friends would have said, I can't believe you're doing what you're doing today, right? So it's built for an introvert like me and others where they go, I don't want to oversell, right? So if you're looking for a conversational approach to just simply enroll people and not hard sell, you will love this. We're going to give that to you as part of a little toolkit we put together here as part of this segment.
I love it. I love it. And there's mixed schools of thought on this next question also. People say, well, Dan, I don't want to talk to a whole bunch of people who seem qualified, seem interested, seem ready, and then I drop my price on them and they run for the hills or they get sticker shock. Is part of our messaging subtly or not so subtly indicating our price point, or is this part of the criteria? Hey, you need to be earning at least $10,000 a month, or pick a number, put the number in. Where do we do some of this financial filtering so we don't go through all of these wonderful steps, which are brilliant, by the way, get to step 7, which is, hey, I'd love to invite you to work with us. How much is it? Oh, it's $10,000. Or again, pick a number. And they're like, oh, I thought it would be like a couple $100. Yeah, I can't do 10 grand. So what are some of the financial filtering and sorting mechanisms that you recommend to your clients so they're not wasting time with a bunch of people who are not able to pay or eager to pay to solve this problem?
So there's a couple things. So this starts, we've studied over 4,000 or reviewed over 4,000 companies, and we found that there's 5 M's and 6 P's that all of them do that are immensely successful. We don't have time to go through all of them right now. We can do that at a different time. But one of the things is mindset. In fact, it's the first M in the 5 M's, and it's mindset. And so number 1 is like, what do you charge, right? What do you charge for your service and your products? See, you can show up just in your messaging and, all the way through your business, cheap. Are you attracting cheap Charlies and you putting out messaging related to cheap Charlies and freebie seekers and so on? Or are you packaging yourself as premium and communicating as premium? Like, you might go, well, how can I do this? Well, think of American Express, the black card, right? The black card is known for premium, right? Premium services, right? And you pay a hefty fee annually to use it, right? You can get a free credit card almost anywhere as long as you have credit, right? And then you've got the black card where you pay a premium to use that each and every year, right? And also they want you to be spending a lot of money and investing a lot of money with their card. So as you think of you, how are you showing up in your market, right? That's number 1. Another thing is the choice of how your model. So that's also one of the 5 M's is your model. Like if you find yourself always attracting lower seeking people who are looking for $30, $50, $200 type programs, what does this mean? It means that your model is also not congruent with like your mindset of like what you should be charging, right? Like what if you just simply shifted your model to a degree? I'm not saying that this is the solution for everyone today, but like what if you took this approach? I'm either free or I'm really high priced. And that was it. You had to have an either or here, free or high priced. How would that change the way you showed up in your marketing and what you offered and what you invited people to participate in or not, right? See, our model, when people ask us, like, what do you charge? What you can be confident to know is we're reassuringly expensive and expensive, but worth it. And at the same time, we're primarily performance-based. Our highest paying client has paid us over $975,000 because we've helped them grow by $10 million, right? So if we helped you grow by 10 million, what would you pay to have those kind of results? So, right, would you like to have like one client like that? Or we work with about a dozen private clients at a time? Or Would you rather have like 10 bazillion people who bought a $200 program? So we as a company have made a choice. I encourage you, as you're watching or listening, think about the choice you're making around your mindset around it, your model around it. And then here's the next piece. We do filtering as well. We test a lot of different programs, mostly because we want to showcase some of these things to our private clients, right? To have proof of concept, not just in theory, right? Because let's face it, theoretical advisors, consultants are outdated. What do people really want? They want implementation. And if you have the juice, and you can, like David, in this industry, in the speaking field, the juice to be able to show people true implementation blueprints of what's working today, this moment. Because like what was working just 2 weeks ago is not working today. What was working a month ago is not working today, right? The real juice, right? That juice got to be worth the squeeze. If you've got the goods, right? Now, if you're bringing people through this kind of invitation sequence that I shared a little bit earlier, and you move to a call, like a couple things you can do. When you put your initial message out, you might put a little qualifying criteria in there. I wouldn't overdo it though, because high profile people, they look at that as like cheesy, because it tells them to some degree you're probably looking to attract lower level people because you're having to do it so hard. So be careful, work with someone, find somebody who can help you discern, like, are you pushing it over the top because then you're pushing out the right people you want versus just having normal communication. Just expect your whole database is high profile, high value, affluent type people, right? Yeah. Affluent clients, right? Next, in your conversation, when you book a call, if someone books a call with you, what you might want to do is put like a mini assessment on the back of that application, right? Or a little mini application they go to. And one of the questions you could add in there, which we do with many of our clients, private clients, is it's a multiple choice dropdown. And it says, tell me a little bit about your business situation right now. And I'm doing this off the cuff. I don't have it in front of me. None of this is scripted. So it's like something like, I am excited to grow my business, right? I want to get into hyper growth to 2x to 10x my business. I have the financial resources to invest in my business. I don't have the resources to invest in my business. I want to stay where I'm at. It's like those 4 criteria, and they pick one. And it says, choose one, right? And they pick one. Now, if we get someone who says, I don't have the financial resources, I want to stay where I'm at, we also add a couple other questions like, what's your current monthly, I'd have to go back and look, but I think it's either profit in your business, right? Or sales in your business, right? And what do you want it to be? So we have certain criteria that we use. If they pick one of them that's below the revenue number, and if they say, I have no financial resources, then what we do is simply refer them to our free resources. Plain and simple, right? So as you're listening or watching, could you put those 2 little twists into what you do and eliminate some of the wasted time? Because let's face it, it is frustrating, isn't it? Yeah. Now, how did I learn? I've been doing this 30 years. So these couple questions have been game changers to save us time, save my team time. I have a team of people now that take these calls and have the consultations and speak with somebody, and they give them a great value for that session. Yeah. Right. Most of the time when we have a follow-up with them, people go, that was the most amazing session I've ever had. And I'm excited to get started working with you guys, right? Either now or in the future as a result. So if you set the stage right, again, what do you want? You want more clients daily. You want them to be pre-qualified, pre-motivated, pre-interested, and ready to do business. What does that mean? Then they can afford your services. And you can screen those and still treat those that are not ready yet to be a part of your world aspirationally, so that when the time comes and they are ready, because you treated them with respect today, long-term, they'll say, man, I want to work with that. I want to work with David. I want to work with you if you do it right. Right. And then if you do any kind of special promotions through the year for, maybe you do holiday giveaways or you do something with charity type tie-ins or whatever, right? Just to do some fundraising and some basic things, or even just testing in your business. You'll have many people, like we've had several of our clients where we help them implement this, David, where they were like, oh my gosh, I had to work with so-and-so because they're always providing so much value. In fact, their free stuff is better than most of the paid crap I get out there. Right? So again, that partially starts with the mindset.
Super quick commercial break. Isn't this interview amazing? If you'd like to get more ideas on how to start or grow your speaking business fast, pop over to our free training at doitmarketing.com/webinar. Let me ask you this, Dan, I want to go back to the perfect invitation. The perfect invitation strategy, that works even if you're looking for individual private one-on-one clients or private companies to work with. should we have a group program or a group coaching, group mentoring model? Do you recommend that for your clients who are running some kind of professional services or thought leadership business? Is that a leverage source that you can work with 5 people, 10 people, 15 people at once? Or does this work just as well with that invitation strategy just to get some one-on-one clients in the door?
Both. Absolutely both. Right. So just partially, again, comes back to your model, whether it's all one-on-one, right? Or it's, you have like super premium clients that are one-on-one.
Yeah.
And then you have, another tier that might be a small group, right? Or you then might have a bigger kind of group model, right? This can work all the way through the process, absolutely.
So final couple questions. And I know that people listening are just like, Dan, this sounds great. This sounds awesome. This is what I need to do. And we'll talk about the resource kit in a moment because that's going to get people miles ahead of where they are right now. But the question I get, and I'm sure you get it too, is they say, okay, Dan, I've changed my messaging. I've changed my offer. I've sent the perfect invitation. I'm using all these other fantastic strategies. I'm not getting in front of the right people. So you have a new boat, you have a new fishing rod, you have new bait, but you're still in the same old lake. How do people find, better fish, better lakes? How do they get out of the market that cannot afford what they have? And how do they move into that high-end premium market where the boat and the fishing rod and the bait are going to work much, much better for them?
There's a couple adaptations around this, David. And it's, we've all heard the idea, we become who we hang around. Right. And I encourage you as you're listening or watching us, David and I right now, is that you check that in. Like, who are you hanging around? What places are you hanging around? And are your potential perfect clients hanging around? Right. See, if you're the type of person, let's just say, I'm going to use this, hopefully this analogy comes across, where your perfect clients are hanging out at like plays and operas and galas and, potential, black tie events. Well, then what do you have to do to get yourself to those events? That's an example. But if you're the type of person who goes, yeah, I know they're all there, but I'm a sports bar kind of person, you become who you hang around.
Yeah.
Right. So it can get tiring. It can, just like fishing, right? If you want to catch a marlin, you got to use different bait than if you want to catch a bass. And that's different than if you want to catch a trout. Right. So you've got to, choose your lakes, as you brought up in the analogy up front, wisely. Right. Where are your perfect clients? Both of us, David and I can't speak exactly for David, but I know because that's how we met, is different circles, like different networking opportunities. I've invested over $1.5 million in mastermind programs, coaching, consulting, training. It's probably the number one leverage thing because, what better thing is there than an investment in myself? Like, it's the only one thing in the world. Like Warren Buffett was asked, 20 years ago, he was on like a TV show. He said, what's the number one thing to invest in? He said, myself, right? Because it's the only thing I can control. And I remember I really gravitated that. And I believed that because when I grew up in sports, David, I had a hitting coach, I had a base running coach, I had a throwing coach, I had a fielding coach, I had a personal training coach. Like we had all the, a third base coach, a first base coach, a head coach, a pitching coach. Like you have all these coaches for one game, right? Similar in all sports. Well, what if we took that same mindset to business? So I'd encourage you as you're watching or listening, who's your coach and who and how much are you investing, right? If you're not willing to invest in you, why should someone else, right? You're a part of this community. So whether we work together or we don't isn't going to impact me whatsoever, right? But if you're not willing to invest in you, why would anybody else? So find the places where your ideal clients are. I'm a part right now of about 3 different mastermind programs, right? How about you? And it's not to learn, although I do learn and I love to learn. I'm a hyper growth minded type person. And part of my ADD, like, I don't know if you can relate if you're a creative entrepreneur, right? But the bottom line is what if you got one new idea a quarter, but more importantly, you got one new connection or one reconnection, right? What does this do, right? There's all kinds of benefits for it, right? And again, if it's not me, if it's not David, go find pools of these networking opportunities. It could be at operas, it could be at plays, it could be at galas, black tie events, could be masterminds. There's a lot of places where this fits. right? But if you go there and you show up and contribute and ask them every time you see people there and you go, hey, what's the one thing you need the most help with and support with right now? And you become that conduit to help them solve their problems, you'll not only get direct business, you'll get referrals, you'll get indirect business, you'll get speaking opportunity. I mean, it's amazing what can happen when you put this simple strategy in. So that would be my number one, Dave. There's more, but that's probably the number one that I could recommend that gives us both a direct short term, but also a long term. We call it ROI cubed. You get an ROI, first level, return on the interaction. ROI, first level, is the interaction, like coming together, like our conversation. Why are we here? Is because we have a cool vibe together, right? There's a great chemistry and an interaction that ideally creates a positive growth factor. Number two is return on implementation. Like as you're listening or watching right now, like if you implement what we've shared with you in the last 30 minutes or so, what would it be worth to you in the next 30 days? Right? Just because I shared a story of Cloris that was able to go out and get 7 new clients in a week, or other clients that got 86 responses and 6 figures in a couple weeks, right? That doesn't mean you will unless you do the second thing, which is implement. So it's return on implement. If you're here a part of this summit, what's your return on implementation if you just take 1 or 2 of the domino ideas? I like to think that, at least we've shared one domino idea. One domino can tilt over 1,000, right? In what you do. So it's return on interaction, it's return on implementation, and then it's return on your investment, time and money.
I love that so much. Speaking of return, speaking of value, speaking of implementation, you have a super cool gift. I've downloaded it. I've seen it. It is incredibly useful. Please tell people what they will find. And there's all kinds of cool things in there, 3, 4, 5 different things. What is in the Business Growth Toolkit and how will they be using it?
Well, number one, if you want to have better conversations that help you enroll more new clients and do it in a cool way, non-salesy, we call it how to sell more by selling less, right? You get that free. If you want to be a better leader of your business, like a CEO, we've put together the CEO checklist. I've got it right up on my board here. It helps me stay on track daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly, and annually. It will help you to become a better CEO. We have our marketing plan blueprint. We've got about 37 items per quarter that you can be focused on in your marketing growth or marketing plan blueprint. We're going to give you that checklist, again, 100% free. And then last but not least is the ability to be more productive. Like right now, more than ever, with everything that's gone in since March 2020, at the time you're seeing this, right? Productivity is a really critical factor. So we're going to give you that productivity blueprint as well of how to hire A-level talent virtually as well as in-house if you're looking for that. It's 100% free. You can get it at activate.breakthrough3x.com. That's activate.breakthrough3x.com. 100% free small business toolkit for you to get value as well as help your business.
Absolutely. And we're going to link that up. We're going to link that in the emails. We're going to link that under this video. So definitely pick up Dan's amazing resource package. It's a game changer. You were incredibly generous with all the great content and all the great meat that you packed in, not only to this interview, but also to that fantastic resource. So Dan Cashell, you're a rock star, my friend. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Absolutely, David. It's a pleasure. And, seize the day as you're watching or listening right now. Go out there and apply just one idea implemented is better than 1,000 ideas not, right? I think I heard Joe Polish say this, David, that one elegant idea implemented is worth far more than 1,000 good ideas. So go out there and take action.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.